It's time!
Welcome to the justice system. Anonymous approve this message.
Wow. Electric bouillabaisse right from Jump Street.
What you need? These nuts. Ha! Got him! Ha! Got him! I'm gonna fight your fucking ass! You know what's the real fight? What's the real money fight? It's me! You want that real shit?
I don't know what the hell you feed him, but he is too damn big!
The wall just got 10 feet higher!
Well, then everyone loses their minds!
It's either blue cheese with wings or go fuck your mother.
Cool, you alright, dude?
I am not too bad, man. I'm not too bad. How's everything going?
Alright, man. Fucking setting this up last night was nightmare. Look what I got, man.
I can't see you.
I can't see me neither.
Have you clicked the video icon? It's like a little video camera.
Yeah.
There you go. Oh, you got a gimbal.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, check you out.
I'm gonna put some stuff online, man. It's all going online, dude.
Nice one, nice one.
Yeah. You alright, though?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. How's things with you?
Alright, man. Yeah, just fucking sorting this out last night was crazy, man. I don't know much about this shit, dude.
I tell you what. Well, the ventures that you're moving into online seems like where you're gonna need to kind of hit the ground running, bro.
Yeah, I know, man. This is my first time, man.
That's
But
all right,
yeah,
that's all right.
it's all
I'll be
good,
gentle.
man.
I'll be gentle.
How's work? Work alright, man. You was working late the other night, innit?
Dude, tell me about it. Work, it never ends. Never ends. But, it's the nature of the beast,
You
man.
do late every night?
No, thankfully not late every night, which is a little, thank God for that. But, yeah, man, but other than that, yeah, just trying to kind of make it honest. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Did you get a chance to go over any of that unfollowing and following stuff? And
yeah, I did. I noticed that your numbers have gone up again.
Yeah, man. It's easy to do, man. When you get it going, you'll get, if you know what I mean, you'll get it.
Mhm.
And you'll know.
I think it's about the rhythm, right? It's about that rhythm.
Yeah, but it's not only that. Like, you'll also know what kind of people to add when you see their pictures. If it's professional, and I don't tend to add them. I have more like real. If it's more of a real life photo, then you kind of because they'll follow you back. And all these dudes that follow you and then unfollow you. Thing is, when you go through your unfollowing, you'll get rid of all them anyway.
Yeah. Just like a cull.
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely.
I'll tell you what, man, I gotta be honest with you. If ever there was one person on this planet that I never ever would have thought become an author, it was you. I swear to God, I thought you were just gonna rock and roll until the wheels fell off and you'd be pushing up daisies with a guitar in your hand.
Well, this is the way it works out, isn't it? It's crazy.
I can't believe it. I really can't. I'm so I'm in awe, to be perfectly honest with you. Because
I didn't expect to be down this road. I won't lie to you.
I mean, we've obviously had many a private discussion, and this is like your kind of first time really talking about it on, any kind of platform. Do you want to just explain to the people, I mean, first of all, you're my brother. I've known you for years. Thank you for agreeing to come on the show and talk about this. Do you know what I mean? I really do appreciate it. But do you want to just explain exactly what's inspired you to write, but more importantly, what you're writing about?
Yeah, sure. I mean, started off years ago, obviously, when I first knew you musically, bands and rock and roll, as they say.
Indeed.
Good times. Yeah, just went through life doing what anyone would do, and ended up with a massive drinking problem. Crazy, absolutely insane. It was great until the last, I'd say 2 years, and then just went haywire, absolutely haywire, and just had to get my act together big time, fast as well, because everything was falling apart. And really, the first time I really fully stopped, I'd already started thinking about writing stuff anyway, and I'd already started writing, actually, funny enough, during the midst of the end of my drinking. And that was just like a messing around little book, just to practice, really. I'd got it done. I don't know how. And then when I finally got off the booze, I actually gave it a real good go, and just started flying from there, really. But as you know, being in the band, you kind of get used. We write stuff all the time, don't we? So I've already got that in me. I get all that. I know about pulling influences from outside and just kind of rolling with the punches with it. And then ended up just practicing YouTube. Went on YouTube, learnt so much from there, and and it's carried on to this day now. So I'm on Amazon at the moment, only on the free, but in the top. I was in the top 3 last time I looked in Amazon.
Wow,
which is, I know, it's crazy.
It's insane. That's insane. When you think of Amazon and its global reach, and you're in the top 3, that's nuts.
Yeah. And the things, I've not really done any marketing for it neither. I've just kind of let this one roll. It's a short book. It's only it's about a 30-minute read. I don't know how they work that out, but they have. It's just almost like a giveaway, but it's because it's getting downloaded consistently every day, like 3 or 4 copies here and there. It's nothing major, and I think the algorithm likes that, and it's just keeping it up there. Crazy.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, so
it's
it's rolling, Yeah.
So you said that that in the rocking and rolling days that kind of for anybody who's ever played in a band will know that you generally play in bars, pubs, clubs, places like that. So it's generally synonymous that the band is going to be drinking or at least have a drink. Do you know what I mean? And it's consistent. Do you know what I'm saying? But you said that it was going okay. Yeah. That it was just you were in a rhythm.
There's always been something there.
Mm-hmm. What was it?
Something there.
What was it that you said towards the last 2 years where you felt that the wheels started to fall off? What was it that you think took you from something that was like a comfortable social norm to something that became toxic, unsocial, and started messing your life up?
Well, the thing is, it's so gradual that you don't. It's like boiling a frog in warm water till it boils up. Is that the right analogy?
Straight.
It don't notice it, does it?
Yes, sir.
But and it's like you look in yourself every day in the mirror every day. You don't notice the changes, and it's the same thing with that. With any addiction, you don't notice it. Slowly creeping up, slowly building momentum, And it wasn't until my fiance, she pointed out to me, she said to me one day, "You're an alcoholic," and I never give it a thought before, never even entered my head. And that's obviously what would you do when someone says that to you? No, of course not. But and it kind of just grew from there, and then you started noticing things, and it was just from there really, and that was what. That was about 4 years ago. And it took another half a year, I'd say, possibly another year, till I was really like, fucking hell, man, this is serious. And then it took another 3 years from there to get off of the stuff. Wow. So
it's a long journey, man. It's a long journey.
My God, it was hardcore, to say the least. Everything. I tried everything, and a lot of stuff failed. It was a lot of trial and error. I've done the AA route. They're good at what they do, and I met some cool people and had some crazy stories as well. I mean, fucking hell, I thought I was bad, but some of the dudes there were unreal. But that approach don't work for me, and as I subsequently found out, it doesn't work for a lot of people neither.
It requires you to submit to a higher power, doesn't it?
Exactly. And
you have to kind of give your heart to God.
And they would argue that that's not the case anymore. I can see why they probably want to get away from it, because I mean, religion's religion. I don't know a lot about all that, but it's not what it was, is it? No,
I mean, we're definitely becoming I was going to say, we're definitely becoming a more of a secular society, moving away from religion, looking towards science and technology for the solution to our woes. Whereas before, I mean, 50 years ago, if this had been you, you would have turned to the church. You would have turned to community for help, right?
Yeah. Hopefully.
And so, it is all interlinked. But I digress. Go back to you said that that it took you 3 years to kind of really kind of get out of that rhythm.
Build momentum, tons of stops and starts, tons of them. I mean, I couldn't get through 2 days without 2 days was unbelievable. To get through 2 days without drinking was just like unbelievable. Stretched it out to 4 days, and then you might get back on it for another 3 months. And then you start again, and you have to go from the 2 days, and it was just a constant thing like that until I got to my first. I think it was 30 days, and you're building. It's a numbers game, recovery. So what it is a numbers game. The more you get under the belt, you get more experience, and then you learn to stress, like any stressful situations. You learn to roll the punches with that. It takes time, really does. Time, effort, and it's tiring as well because it's constant. It's always there, no matter what you do. It's there all the time. The minute I used to dream about the stuff.
Seriously?
Yeah. I'd dream about the stuff. I'd wake up and that'd be the first thing I think about. It's when you look back, but you don't see this until you look back, and it's crazy. I mean, some of the things I've done is unbelievable. But
not to put you in any precarious positions, but can you give an example of something that was quote unquote crazy?
Well, just drinking a bottle of vodka a day, and then any other substances in the evening to try and straighten yourself out is bad enough. But there's a few things that I suppose you keep.
Keep under your hat. No, that's fair enough. Yeah.
Thankfully, I mean, going back to saying like religion and the AA thing, there's so much fantastic stuff now. YouTube probably helped save my life. Some of this people like Kevin O'Hara. Kevin O'Hara's stuff is fantastic. There's a lot I didn't realise at the time, because when you're young, when you think about addiction and alcoholism and all that other that goes with it, all we think about is AA as an answer.
Yeah.
That's all we know. And there's a ton of people out there that have not gone down that road. There's a lot of people online now. Kevin O'Hara, Jeff Berwick, I believe his name is. There's loads of people online now that just say to you, you ain't got to be that way. You can just do it by yourself off your own back, and that helped me through.
Do you think? Sorry, go on.
No, go on. You can. Go on.
No, I was going to say that doing it off of your own back. Do you think that there's merit in because obviously there's a danger, isn't there? Somebody who's been a hardcore alcoholic for like decades, like 20, 25 years, and then one day turns around and says, I'm going to go on YouTube and I'm going to, I want to kick this shit. Let's say by the virtue of goodwill and all the rest of it, there's someone listening to this show right now, is 25 years in and goes medically, and I need to put this out there as a disclaimer, you are not saying that this is the way forward. You might want to, if you're hardcore into it, you might want to consider some medical intervention. Do you know what I mean?
Well, there's a few things there. When it comes to, if anyone is doing basically with recovery, I mean, there's a lot of crap out there about recovery and withdrawal that just is factually so incorrect. It's unbelievable. Anyone that's ever gone through a withdrawal, the worst it's going to be is nothing more than the flu. It's not like the train spottings and all that stuff. There's a fantastic podcast I watched the other day with Joe Rogan. He was interviewing a bloke called Carl Hart. He's a neuroscientist out of America. And he was saying the same thing. He says, like, when you get a hangover, that's just a mild withdrawal. That's all that is. So people who are doing it have probably all gone, who've ever been drinking have experienced a withdrawal. It's nothing more than a flu-like symptoms. The only trouble you get, ironically, out of all the drugs out there, I think alcohol and certain barbiturates are the only ones that can cause death from withdrawal. But then you'd have to be at the extreme end of alcoholism. Even me, I mean, obviously putting what I was away was bad enough to, if I'd have carried on, I probably wouldn't be in now. But even that didn't warrant that kind of worry, as I subsequently found out now. I didn't know this to begin with. So there's a lot of myth out there surrounding it all that doesn't really help. So yeah. I mean, you've just got to get your head down for a few days. I know it's easier said than done. It takes a lot of building up, but it's doable. It's doable.
Do you think that you said that it worked for you? Kind of doing it solo and without any kind of medical intervention. You said that worked for you. Yeah. And you said that there's a lot of mythos around the idea of quitting. Do you think that that's something that's hyped up by medical practitioners, or do you think that there is merit in kind of maybe having some kind of medical intervention, if you will?
Yeah, I mean, as you were saying earlier on about like covering yourself, if you're not sure of anything, then go to a doctor. I mean, and cut and sort of have a look into, like, check yourself out. No doubt about it. If you're not sure about something, it's only going to help. I mean, yeah, you've got if you're not sure something like that. But what's the question again?
I was saying, do you think that the myth of kind of recovery, that's bounded around like, you know what?
It's a lot of it. It's easier. It's the media thing, though, isn't it? I mean, what Dr. Carl Hart was saying about the whole withdrawal from heroin thing, and how Trainspotting was a great film, but factually it was totally wrong. And they also pointed out this new. I've not actually watched it. Is it the new Walking Dead?
I haven't. I kind of tapped out of it, but go on.
Yeah, there's something happened in there where a bloke got put in. He was in hospital or something, suffering from withdrawal from heroin. And for a few days he was laying all right, and then a few days into it, that's when he started experiencing his withdrawal. And he was saying it's all so wrong. But that's all we ever see it from the media's point of view or the politicians, But I think that comes in. That's all money and stuff, then, isn't it? I mean, what do you do when it comes to that kind of stuff,
Well, I mean, really, it's a good question. What do you do when it comes to money? And but also as well, I mean, we can't discount the fact that there have been people that have gone through DIY withdrawal and or DIY recovery, and have actually kind of lost their lives through the process. That their organs have shut down, organ failure, because what they were once used to being in their system is no longer there, and the body's just trying to play catch up. But because it's been so damaged, it's put them into a worse state.
Yeah, that's almost certainly that's certainly happened. But from what I can gather so far, you've got to be at the extreme end. And as I say, also what I've discovered, and the only issues you're going to have with alcohol and certain barbiturates, they're the only two apparently withdrawals from them two substances that's going to cause you any lasting damage like that. But I think it's got to be at the extreme. I mean, people to be putting that amount away blimey.
Well, it's like you said, you were lucky enough to kind of be caught at a point where someone was like, hey, you know what, maybe you want to calm it down a bit, or maybe that the big dirty A word, alcoholic. Do you know what I mean?
Lethal, isn't it?
It's a because you think it's a horrible fucking image, is what it is.
And in a doorway.
Oh, absolutely. Dirty beard, can of superintendents. Do you know what I mean? Oh, it's not a good look, or in the park.
I'll tell you what you will find. A lot of people don't even use that term. A lot of people that have recovered don't even class themselves as alcoholics. They don't even class themselves having a drinking problem because they don't drink, which I get. They say they can get a drink problem pretty quick, but because they don't drink alcohol and they don't anymore, they don't class themselves as alcoholics. I can see their point of view, but I can see other people be listening to thinking, "Are you sure?"
Yeah, I mean, each to their own. Each to their own. I mean, you don't need to go around. I mean, see, that's another thing as well. When because I went straight edge for 3.5 years, no drugs, no drink, no. I wasn't gold standard straight edge. I still drank coffee, and I was still eating meat. Because apparently, to be a gold standard straight edger, you got to be a vegan, no caffeine.
Everyone's going to be gold. Everyone's got about 4 or 5.
There's some out there, There are some out there. There's some hardcore gold standard straight edgers. But that being said, I found myself, I became quite sanctimonious about it. And I was like, look, I'm kind of that better than you type kind of thing. And I think that is also... I can't speak for the people who say they don't class themselves as alcoholics because they don't drink alcohol, but there does seem just to be just a smidgen of sanctimony in that statement of like saying I'm not an alcoholic because I no longer drink alcohol.
They don't want the label, do they?
I would say it's more like, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm a layman here and I'm a complete and utter, I'm the enemy in some respects because I still drink.
No way, man.
I'm a functioning alcoholic, for want of a better word. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, even that I don't agree. I mean, it's easy for me to sit here and say you shouldn't be drinking. No way, man. No way. People, if they can handle it, they enjoy it.
Awesome.
Definitely.
That's refreshing.
There's nothing worse than hearing that thrown down your throat. Do you know what I mean? At a party, God.
But I mean, that's the thing that you always hear from people who are in the media, who do come out and say, I had a real drinking problem. Stay away from drink. You know what I mean? It's like,
and it's easily done as well. I can see how you do when you first get into recovery. I can see how people fall into that trap. It's the last.
They become spokesmen and women. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, you don't need,
especially if they're celebrities as well. If they're celebrities and they've got a mouthpiece, and they've got 35 million followers on Twitter, and they fucked up with DUI. And what it is, generally, it's their PR turn around and say, look, listen, if you do this, we might be able to get you out of this shit. Do you know what I mean? If they're looking at jail time, and then all of a sudden they do a PSA, public service announcement saying, stay away from alcohol, kids. It'll ruin your life.
Yeah. There's another school of thought that I read about once that says everyone's already an alcoholic, just at different stages. Some are nearer the extreme end, like I was, and do you know what I mean? I can't really explain on that one, but I've read it.
I get it. Because
it's already, we're just further down the line, some of us.
No, I mean, here's the thing. You remember when you had your first beer, right? And it tasted awful. Yeah. Do you remember when your first beer went down the right way?
Yes, I do. Life-changing moment, man.
Fuck yeah, was it? Yeah. I remember it so well. And there's people here listening to this show. They're like, man, try and keep me on the wagon. Don't do this to me right now. But it's a fact. It's a fact that, when you start drinking and it goes down for the first time the right way, and it becomes that almost borderline religious moment. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? You're just like thinking, it almost felt like a rite of passage when it went.
It's an awakening.
It's an awakening in a really, really twisted, fucked up kind of way. Yeah, it is an awakening. It's like, I
would never forget I remember it was a glass of champagne on Christmas Day, and I'll never forget. I had two of them, and it was freaking brilliant. I loved it.
Liquid gold.
I knew this is what I wanted from then on. That's heavy. That's really intense. That is really intense. Never left me that feeling as well. I've always chased that warmth as well. Always.
So it's almost like the heroin addict that's trying to get that original high again.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. See, the thing is, I wasn't one of them dudes. I can't stand. You get the drinks, the mouthy ones. Terrible. I can think of nothing worse than, ironically, of being pissed out my head. I hate it.
But you were always Fun Time Frankie when you and I went out drinking. When you and I went out drinking back in the day, we go to a club, we blues club or whatever, and we'd go and we'd have a few, and it was all jolly, and it was all, hey man, dude, do you know what I mean? It never ended up in a punch up. It was just a couple of musicians, just living life and loving life. Do you know what I mean?
You're eating the cud, my darling.
Do you know what I mean? But yeah, it was a beautiful time, and so it just goes to show how at one end of the scale it can be your best friend, but then at the other end it can be your mortal enemy and can just take you out of a life that you know. Do you know what I mean?
Out of life, full stop. Everything changes. Everything. And even now, to this day, I'm still catching up now.
Really?
Because you enter, say I entered it properly. When I really entered it, I would say, what am I now? 40, 41 now. Mm-hmm. Possibly in my late 20s when I really did start drinking. I've only just come out of it now. I entered it a different person to the person I come out of it. So if in some ways I'm rediscovering who I am as a person. This 42-year-old is different to the 27-year-old that really got into it, if you know what I mean. That is weird in itself.
But do you think that is possibly a reason as to why, backstory here, ladies and gentlemen, you stopped playing guitar for a minute, right? For quite some time. Do you think it's because that the guitar was kind of hand in glove with drinking?
No, I don't think so. The only reason I stopped guitar is because I overdone it, like everything I do. I'd done too much, and then I was bored of it. And it is telling, I think, that it would seem that I really did start hitting it hard when I stopped playing the guitar.
Right.
But but that my days on the guitar were numbered anyway. I mean, I used to do 6 hours a day. I was really, really into it, and I think I ran it into the ground, and then I had nothing left to take over. And it appears that maybe the alcohol was the next move, but I think you can think too much about all this stuff as well. Sometimes it just is what it is, isn't it?
You can. I mean, if you stare at a picture long enough, you see the finer strokes. But that, I think, is sometimes the you like that?
Yeah, nice.
But I think that that with regards to we can sit here and theorize all the live long day about the who's, the what's, and the where's and the why's of alcohol, but ultimately it was your decision to make, and it was something that you felt that you had to do. It was something must have resonated in that statement, you're an alcoholic, for you to actually take a step back and think, there could be something in this.
Yeah, possibly, yeah. It took a while to gather any momentum, though, as I say. It wasn't an overnight thing. But I think, and then it's the pain as well. It's the constant pain of it's just constant. You've got a constant deadness about you, and everything's getting, all the goodness has been flushed out your system. You don't really eat anymore. And then you just, everything. Anxiety attacks start kicking in then. And it's just fucked, man. It's just crazy. And then I just started breaking down a lot as well. And then I remember one day, got to the point, the one day when I had to go and I've done a day's work, pissed. And I had to go and do this private job to fit this rad for this bloke round the corner. And I was smashed doing it. There was no one else in the house. And I fucking hang this rad? God damn it, man. I couldn't do it. And I don't know how I left it, but I must have left it in a state. And then that night I was meant to go and do a private job for one of my other half friends. And I called her up and I let her down for the third time in 2 weeks. And she was pissed off. But I knew I couldn't do it. I felt like I was about to have a mental breakdown. And I went home and I'd done some gear because it helps to like even you out a little bit. And I just fell apart. And I just knew that night I had to stop. I went into work the next morning and it was awful. It was just absolutely awful. I was just throwing up phlegm. I had to come home, and that was my first real big stop. It took about a week to get over it. I mean, a full-on week of just like everything was just crazy. But oh man, for that first week, it was rough.
So you had so for those of you listening who are unsure what he said when he mentioned gear, that's a reference. That's a reference to the Bolivian marching powder, also known as cocaine, ladies and gentlemen. But what that sounded like was that you had a hangover coupled with, the cocaine blues from the following day as well, and that just meshed into one. Clusterfuck.
Yeah, that was it. That was the first real big break I had. That was an awful time. I'll never forget that night. And there was I did get back on it since then, but that gave my first real opportunity just to breathe in instead of breathing out for a few months, which I'd never done before that amount of time. And from that period of time, I got enough experience about living again. You'd be surprised. Going around for that first year, where even though I'd have like be on and off, that first year in recovery, I couldn't adjust back to life.
Really?
Just being around people, I remember going around my mum and dad's, and I felt more stoned. I felt more stoned than if I'd had a drink or smoke. It was odd. just hearing things and smelling things and tasting things, either how it's meant to be, I couldn't get my head around it for about a year.
It's like sensory overload.
Big time, perfect. Exactly it. Absolute. Yeah, everything was just odd. Everything. I remember talking to customers I was working for, and actually speaking to them on a normal level, and it was off the charts for a little while. And then I realised that I could do it, which was nice. But for that first year in recovery, it was really odd. It was Twilight Zone. And the thing is, really, the problem is that not many people tell you when you go into recovery, it gets a lot worse before it gets better, really. Because then you have the fallout from it. Like I was touched with depression, which, I mean, I've never really had it full on like some people do. And God forbid, touch wood, that it stays that way. Sorry.
To find some wood quick.
Yeah, because that was awful. I was only touched with it, and wow. I mean, that was just. I remember saying to my other half, I was just thinking these weird things, and it wasn't like I wanted to kill myself. It was just these weird black things that was coming into my head, and I couldn't shake it. And the only thing I found by pure chance that got rid of it was exercise. Just 20 minutes on a bike or a run, or as I happened to find out by pure chance, like cutting down a tree. It kind of flushed all the chemicals out of my system.
Wow.
And I realised then I'd stumbled on something, and that for me was game changing. Then, absolute game changer. And that from there I discovered, because obviously then you also got to deal with the cravings, which is a whole other subject.
What, food craving?
No.
Chemical craving. Oh, chemical craving, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you can't take phone calls. You can't think. I mean, you're totally hijacked. I mean, everything changes. And I found out that exercise gets it. It kind of, what's the word? It pulls them back down to earth.
So it's like a reprogramming. It's like reprogramming.
Perfect. Yeah. It just changed everything. Discovering what exercise does. And I'm not talking about like running your bollocks off for an hour. Just give it 10, 15, 20 minutes of a decent, so you like slightly out of breath. Wow.
So essentially increase your heart rate a little bit with a bit of exercise.
80% of your heart rate.
Uh-huh.
Don't bust yourself. Just, I mean, anything to get the blood flowing. Just to get the blood flowing, get your endorphins kicking in, and it will change your life. And honestly, cravings, because they're the bane of your life, cravings, because they just, especially if you're getting like 2 or 3 a day, because it's hard to say no. I mean, reading up on it, it's because it's all here in the prefrontal cortex where we think. When you're craving, you can't make judgment calls because this is all hijacked here.
Right.
It's awful. And you're sitting there knowing you can't do something, but you're going to do it anyway.
Wow.
But you're not yourself. You can't taste anything. You can't think straight, and it is awful. So to find a way to get them like out of the way was just awe-inspiring for me. And so anyone that's going through that now, get like what I've done. I have my mountain bike. I threw it on a frame. So you get a frame for the back wheel. I put it in the bedroom downstairs and upstairs, sorry, and just jump on that when you feel like they're coming. Because with cravings, you can get ones that hit you a bolt out of the blue. Or what I used to have, I'd have long build-up ones. So in the morning I'd wake up and I knew I was going to get something later on that day, and it'd slowly build up until it'd be like a crescendo where you can't even think about stuff. I mean, I shouldn't even been driving in that state. So. Yeah, if anyone's struggling with cravings, just get your endorphins flying around your system, whatever. Just do that. It's fantastic.
It's actually interesting that you mentioned the endorphins because that's the it is a form of morphine that your body secretes.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
And it's interesting that in some way suppresses those cravings that you were talking about.
I'm just writing about it now. Actually, I'm doing a lot of reading up on it. I'm not sure it suppresses. Yeah, I might be wrong. Don't quote me on that though, Maxwell. It might be wrong there, but whatever it does, it moves it on.
Right.
But to me, it always felt like I was flushing them out of my system. I was flushing chemicals out of my system.
So it's not covering it up. It is actually.
Oh yeah.
It's just moving.
The only underlying problem you got there, if anyone. The thing is, yes, you can deal with the cravings, but then you've got the other issue of what you were just saying. You're not dealing with the underlying problem. Everyone's got a reason why they're doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, but although you're not dealing with that, it can deal with the cravings. But if you want to deal with the underlying problem, then maybe you need to talk to people. The other thing I struggle with though was the fact that you're always told if you've got an addiction, you must have had a bad childhood, a trauma of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
And I can honestly say, hand on heart, that I never had that. So that made it more confusing for a while. But I, from what it seems, I think, I don't know if it's, I don't know. It's almost like I program myself to get to this state. Almost like I self-inflicted it fully because I wasn't coming at it from that angle. I've got nothing I can think of where I thought I want to escape. Something I from looking back, I think it seems that I kind of program myself to get to this point, which is, if that is the case, is nuts in itself. But yeah, just that's a little side issue that I've got to look into a bit more maybe.
But you're also like, you know, frontman, lead guitarist type kind of thing. You know, you always had the kind of the focus. You always had the focus on you, right? Okay. And now, obviously, I'm no psychiatrist, and I'm definitely no expert with regards to human behavior. I know a thing or two, but do you think that maybe, you know, because you were never, like we said at the early part of, you know, when we started talking, you were never an unhappy drinker. You were always like, hey, party time. You know, do you think that it was like you were looking for the party to never end?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, I was always up for another beer.
Oh fuck yeah!
Always.
Fuck yeah! Yeah, happy times.
Yeah,
man. Happy times.
I would say so. Yeah.
So.
But yeah, I had no chronic problems to think about from the past. So for a while, that baffled me as well. And I thought, is this another thing you get if you're I still get it now. I sometimes still don't think I'm an alcoholic. And I've heard a few other people say it as well. I'm not.
You sanctimonious prick.
Yeah, I know. And do you know what? I remember even towards the end saying to my other half, no, it's just like a drink. And it's crazy that you still delude yourself. You still do it. And this is the problem with relapse, is that people 3-4 years into it think, do you know what?
Get comfy.
I've done yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think I've just had that one. What's that actor? Seymour Hoffman,
Philip Seymour Hoffman, yeah.
Terrible story. He was something like 20 years clean.
20 years clean.
Champagne, 2 weeks later or something, he was dead.
Yeah, one glass of champagne took him right there, and then he did a duff batch of heroin. That was it. Game over.
Because I used to hear a story about Paulie Yates that I used to about her. I never got it at the time because I was only young. About she was an alcoholic, and if she had one drink, it would. After that one drink, she would be smashed. And I never figured that out at the time. I'm still struggling with that one now. But maybe it was just told to me the wrong way. I don't know.
No, I mean, some people it's like that. Some people,
I guess so. Yeah.
If they don't, right, I'll give you a prime example, right? Okay, anybody who has bariatric surgery, which is the what do you call it, where they reduce. So if you're like super fat, and you have bariatric surgery, it's designed to reduce the size of your stomach so that you can't eat so much.
Oh, right. I think I've heard of this.
Yeah, it's being touted around as like the miracle, weight loss thing.
Yeah.
And to some extent, it works, but there's also some very, very hefty drawbacks. One of which,
I can imagine. Fucking hell.
One of which is mineral deficiency. And what you find is that people who were and as you know, you drink a pint, that's the equivalent of eating 2 sandwiches. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they reckon a roast dinner, didn't they? Something like that.
That's something like that. Something really, really stodgy. Anyways, so if you've been on the bitters and you're a big fella, right? Okay, and you know that when you're working the beer muscle, you build up a resistance to it. Well, when you have the bariatric surgery, not only do you lose weight, but also because of your mineral deficiency, you get wankered so much quicker than you. And it is generally that one drink that just sends you completely off the rails. So I think that and you might be thinking, what the hell is he talking about? Well,
I know
to equate that to your Paulie Yates story, it could be that she was mineral deficient in some way because she was always a skinny cow anyway.
Yeah, well, it's like when I was saying about the relapsing, the problem is you pick up where you left off. And if you've been clean and healthy and eating all your minerals and greens for a few months,
Mhm.
and then you hit back straight away with a bottle and a half of vodka, it's gonna hurt a lot more than when before
Oh,
you
man.
had
It's gonna
yourself
be a
ready
kicking.
prepared.
Yeah.
They reckon
You-
tolerance is Mother Nature's way of looking after us in some ways, in that respect.
Well, I would actually agree with that. I would turn
Yeah.
around and say, you know what, maybe when you can't do it anymore, that's when you need to say, right, okay, I'm done, I'm good,
Yeah,
I'm good.
yeah.
But if that means that you've been drinking for 24 hours straight, maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
But but I mean, I guess that kind of brings us nicely onto what got you putting all of these thoughts into writing, into pen to pad type kind of thing.
Honestly, Maxwell, I couldn't tell you for sure. I honestly don't know. I don't know. As I said, I'd already started writing. I'd done a little crappy book on idioms, and I put that out there, and it didn't do anything. But I didn't market it, and it was, looking back, it was awful, probably. And then somehow I just fell into this new human glitch thing. I just fell into it, and I was already doing it when I was drinking, so something was going on. But as you know, like, well, I was used to composing stuff anyway, looking for new ideas and weaving them together musically. I honestly couldn't tell you where it all come from, or why it's happening, or why. I don't know. It just is. And as my wife points out, it's probably been the saving of me as well, because I put some more efforts are in it now. Everything. Only problem is I do a bit too OTT on that now, so I need to find something else to get me off of that for a little while. So ironically, I was saying the other day about maybe looking to do some jazz guitar lessons, because I always wanted to do that, but I never went down that road.
Right.
Just to take my mind off of it a little bit, because otherwise I'll just work till I drop. But
And then the next thing, you don't want that thing to become something that you no longer do anymore, like the guitar, for example.
yeah, I'm not sure, because I think there's so much ground that I want to cover, and I've got so much catching up to do. I'm hoping that ain't the case, but it's full on. It's very cognitive. I think that's the right word. It's so draining, right? And
Well,
it's
yeah, you're
fantastic.
thinking a lot.
Constantly. Yeah, you're writing down. Yeah, you've got to keep writing down. It's like a stream of consciousness. You've got to keep it flowing. That's tiring. A few hours of that, and your mind numb, and then the editing begins.
Oh, crikey! Yeah, drafts.
Give me a break.
Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
mate. I didn't know nothing about this when I first started. The editing process nearly killed me on the Human Glitch book. I used to email people in like forums and saying, "Am I doing this right?" I have to keep going over it and put in like condensing. And I said to these people, I think I'm going mad. Looking back, I get it now, but for a little while, that nearly done me, man. God. But
What was it? What was it? Is it just like the sparsity of words and being conservative
No,
with them?
it's because when you write a book, you're trying to make sense of chaos.
Right.
You really are. I mean, you've got pages and pages of research, if you've got that, or you've got, like, I know they say when you do like your first draft, it's your vomit draft, and you're getting it all out there, and in you've got your book, but then you've got to cut through all the crap, and there's going to be a lot of crap in there, and can keep breaking it down until it's a pleasurable read, and keeps the reader engaged. And that takes time, man. And then as you're going, you're constantly redefining what the book could be anyway. And it kind of changes and evolves as you're going. So you're always rolling with the punches. And quite a lot of the time, I find that what you start out with is not always what you think at the end of it. It's not always what you thought it would be to begin with, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It kind of grows on its own.
Well,
It grows on its own.
it's funny, you mentioned Joe Rogan, and one of the things that Joe Rogan always talks about is about stand-up comedy, obviously, because that's his bread and butter. It's what he does. But when he talks about the joke writing process as well, and how you have an idea, and you're riffing off on that idea, and you're just cutting little chunks away with every, and then you just boil it all down to its essence.
Same as songwriting.
And it seems like this is also the same process with regards to writing a book, or writing whatever it is that you want to write. It's an
intense process. It really is, and it will drive you. Some days it's unbelievable. Some days I love it because you start, and it's almost like if you're improvising on a guitar. Say you're playing blues, and you just want to forget it, you just want to play and become a telephone. You just want it to roll through you. Some days you can write, and that can happen. And you start off writing about a subject, and you just let it go, and you come back down to earth in about an hour and a half later, and you go over it, and you realise that you fucking cranked out some good stuff, man. You don't know where it's come from, but you're going to keep it. Them days are like gold dust. They're fantastic. But you get other days where you can be sat there for 3 hours and it's like pulling teeth. You've got to get your 500 words. I try and get 500 words a day. And sometimes getting that 500 words is like pulling teeth. Other days it can roll.
That was what happened with Hunter S. Thompson towards the end of his life. It was
right.
He was finding it harder and harder and harder to write.
Oh.
You know, they were saying that, you know, because obviously with Hunter, you know, his biggest work, obviously everybody knows, is Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. But
that is such an... I love it, but I can't...
Seminal book, fantastic book.
Oh, what a film.
And a fantastic film as well. Hold tight, Johnny Depp.
No, Nicolas Cage. Oh, no, so I'm thinking Leaving Las Vegas.
You're thinking Leaving Las Vegas. No.
Yeah, sorry, my fault.
That's all right, that's all right. But what people don't realise is that he wrote a book on the Hells Angels. And he also did Fear and Loathing on the Campaign Trail with George McGovern when he was taking on Richard Nixon for the presidency. You know, and again, you know, some of the best work, fantastic work. And then later on in life, you know, he's becoming more and more, you know, depressed with the way that the country's going, and obviously with him being a patriot, and then, you know, 9/11 and all the rest of it. It became too much to bear, you know, and, you know...
Funny how it works, isn't it?
It's so strange. So
it's funny because I was listening to an interview today. They were talking about Dracula and Bram Stoker and how in his lifetime it didn't really take on like what we know it as today. Obviously, it's like it started the whole genre horror. Well, it was a pretty big part of it.
Mary Kelly.
But his other books, apparently they weren't that much. They weren't that good because
he was he wasn't the most fantastic author, and he was an alcoholic as well.
Oh, but he was who was it they were saying? He used to look after someone as well. It's gone now. Someone famous. He was like their agent or something. I'm not sure. Henry Irving. It's gone now. But they were saying that Dracula was his only real research book, and he was done it at the London Library. So they're doing a play there. They're doing a play of it in there. But
fantastic book. People sleep on that book. Yeah, I mean they call it a horror book. It's actually a love story.
Yeah, good call. Yeah,
it's not a horror. I mean, yeah, okay, right. There's some pretty gruesome stuff. You know, it was written at a period of the Crusades and
fantastic though.
You know, but you know,
he didn't realise what he started though. The whole industry of vampire, everything.
Yeah,
he never really not to know that.
Something sexy about that though, isn't there? There's something sexy about that. You know, just like the neck thing and yeah. You know, giving up oneself to a higher power of some sort.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? The quest, the human quest for immortality. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on with it. So anyway, I digress. Off of Bram Stoker, we need to be talking about the Human Glitch Project. So what is the Human Glitch? Talk. You know, what is it? What is that?
Yeah, Human Glitch it's my website. It's my website home/blog, and it's just there to help people. You know, I've not got the answers to everything, and I'm sure there's plenty that I'll get wrong still. But I've got a little bit of life experience in this game now, so I might as well use it to help some people. There's one lady I'm helping at the moment, and she's 21 days today. She's clean today, and she's getting there. You know, I mean, this is the beginning for her because it's. As I was saying, it's a whole nother story.
Do you want to give her a shout out, or do you want to keep her anonymous?
No, yeah, she probably wants to keep it a bit low key at the moment.
All right, no problem.
Her time will come.
Her time will come. Indeed.
It's amazing. There's a lot of people out there that reach out to you. The thing is, the only problem is, there's only so much you can do, and only so much you can give over the internet. You know, so. I'm gonna. As I've started my books, I'm gonna put as much as I can into books as well because. So readily available now. I mean, you can download stuff. You know, I mean, it's a different world, isn't it? But it's just the Human Glitch is there just for people advice or any advice they've got to give other people. They can come over and do that. Or Instagram pages also. I do a lot of stuff on there, as you know. A lot of females as well. far outnumber the males that get in touch with me. Maybe it's just because men don't really like opening up. I don't know, but it's a lot of females. Yeah.
So,
It's
you're a
good,
good-looking fella. Instagram's built for good-looking people, you see.
Oh no. Oh, I'm too old for all that, dude. Too old. I got me and my other half and my little doggy now.
Oh, there you go. You got fur kids. So
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's interesting though, because it's definitely it is interesting because I noticed someone else was saying about it the other day on Instagram. It's all females that post stuff about it as well. Very rarely get males on there.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how deep you are into the Rogan podcast, but he had Jonathan Haidt on there.
Fantastic.
He had Jonathan Haidt on there, who's a social psychologist, and he was talking about the kind of the rise in childhood depression and the influence of social media around that, and Instagram is a predominantly female heavy
really?
user base. Yeah, it does outnumber men. I can't remember the statistic, but it's definitely well over 60-40 in terms of female to male.
That's the other gentleman was saying, just he was going down the road and saying it's just obviously men, they can't cry and all this malarkey. He was going down that road. It might have something to do with it. It might be absolutely nothing. But yeah, that is interesting. Who was that on the Joe Rogan podcast?
That was Jonathan Haidt, Haigh. Yeah, Haight, and so check that out. It's a good show, very good show. I'll send you the link.
Did you see that Elon? Is it Elon Musk?
Did
you see the Elon Musk one?
Yeah,
that was quite heavy, wasn't it?
That was the thing about Elon Musk. It was interesting because he would be asked a question and he would take his time and process. You could see
they were pissed at their heads.
They were processing. He was processing all the words. Yeah, he might have had a few scotches too many, but you could still see.
They were. Yeah, I was watching something today.
So
they were rocking and rolling full on. Yeah, he turned up apparently with a flamethrower or something.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Elon Musk.
Yeah, he gave Joe Rogan
Joe Rogan was saying it was a little bit of a chore to begin with him. He didn't loosen up. But apparently, I haven't seen it all, but apparently they were smoking joints and everything later on.
Yeah. They were blazing it up. Didn't you see? It made all of the. It went global when Elon Musk, took a toke off of Joe Rogan because the shareholders shit the bricks.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Do you know what I mean? It just went nuts. But now there you go. Here's an interesting question. Here we are. We're talking about addiction. We're talking about alcohol. We're talking about cocaine's been sprinkled around a little bit in this conversation as well. But where do you feel the cannabis debate is?
Cannabis is a funny one. Me personally, I used to love it. I can't really smoke it now because it gives me the horrors. I think that's just coming down from the addiction, the alcohol thing. But the only issue I've got with weed or cannabis is the fact that it's so different to how it was when I was a kid. When I was a kid, we used to get weed and it'd have seeds in it and it was weed. I used to do quite a bit of tripping as well when I was in the early 20s. And I find this new skunk stuff that people are smoking, to me, is like coming up on a trip. It's fucking intense, man. I can't stand in a bar. I get paranoid like there's no tomorrow. And I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Because I remember smoking there's no doubt it had a little effect on me because your brain's still growing at that time when you're 17. And everyone was smoking every day then. And it had a little bit of a knock-on effect then. And that was on normal weed and draw. But this skunk, it's so bad. This the smell of it. You can smell it a mile off.
Oh, I know.
I think because I know it's been legalized in quite a few. I know Canada's just recently legalized, hasn't it?
Countrywide, recreational and medicinal.
Yeah. I'd be quite interested to know if they're kind of cleaning it up, so to speak, because obviously at the moment it's being pumped full of crap. So I'd like to know. I'd be interested to know if they're doing something to clean it up a little bit, because that stuff is so powerful.
Well, I don't necessarily think
I can't personally handle it.
I don't think necessarily it's been pumped full of crap, and I'm just kind of being a bit of a devil's advocate here because I'm a latecomer.
It's something's been the power.
Yeah, I'm a latecomer.
In it,
I'm a latecomer to the Mary Joanna conversation. Do you know what I mean? You know,
yeah.
But what I do know to be is that there's a lot of smart people that have got hold of the and cross pollination and you know and the hydroponic grows and all that.
Something's been tampered with there. There's no doubt.
Yeah,
about it.
Definitely they're definitely fucking with the program, but at the same time they're coming up with something that's a bit woohoo. You know what I mean? And I, you know, but it's like anything. You know, we're talking about addiction. We're talking about overindulgence. We're talking about you know, if you eat too many burgers, they'll make you fat. You smoke too much weed, it'll fuck you up. Do you know what I mean? You know.
Yeah, I think, and also if you've got any tendencies to what's the word? Not psychopathic. No, what's
paranoia.
The word? Any kind of mental health issues, I would suggest to people to be a little bit careful because I know it can definitely mess around with. I can't think of the right words.
It does fuck with your brain chemistry. Definitely does.
Yeah,
that's
I
no
mean,
word
all
of a lie.
addiction does, but I think the paranoid element of it's a little bit because I keep hearing things about how people who are a little bit I can't think of the right word. Help me out here. Not mental health. I think it doesn't help if you've got any mental health issues underlining, even if just tame ones. I think it can trigger. It can really play on them. That's what I mean. I only what I read about what everyone else reads about. Yeah. But on a side note, the cannabis oils,
CBD.
Yeah, I know a lady. We've got a friend of ours she was in a car crash about 20 years ago, and she's got terrible problems with her back. This stuff is changing her life. There's no doubt about it. So that's good to. I wouldn't mind finding out a bit more about that as well. Is that legal or illegal though?
No, right.
Well, haven't you?
We had that. There was that test case that happened last summer. Do you remember that little kid? Was it
the little kid, wasn't it?
Billy Caldwell or something like that?
Yeah.
Shout out to Billy Caldwell if I got his name right, because his mum and him changed the game because they appealed to the Home Secretary Sajid Javid to say, look, listen, because they arrested her. For having the stuff.
That's right.
Say, look, my son suffers from epilepsy, severe epilepsy, and to the point where his fits put him in hospital. And this is the stuff that calms him down, that just, you know, brings his brain back to, to optimum. And because of that, it created a test case, which now has opened up the whole medicinal marijuana cannabis debate. I think it's definitely
there.
There's something needs to come down the pipe because attitudes are changing. We're also realizing the fact that the whole the whole smear campaign behind cannabis has been revealed with regards to
Joe Rogan's got some great stuff.
Rogan, you know, there's so much information out there now about how cannabis was. The reason why it was racial. It was racial. It was purely racial. It was the people of color do it. Mexicans do it. Oh, fuck it. You know, we can't make it illegal to be black because, you know, slavery's done and dusted. Oh, let's find out what we can do. Oh, this is one thing on a cultural level that they enjoy. Well, fuck it. We will make that illegal. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
there's definitely an underlying movement though to get it legalized. It's definitely gaining speed. But I read an interesting thing a few weeks ago saying about how the tobacco companies, obviously they've been crippled in the last 20 years, and they've got a very keen interest to get involved because they can market this stuff straight away.
Philip Morris have said that they plan to stop making cigarettes by, I think they said 2022. They actually want to get out of the cigarette game. Out of the tobacco game and get into the weed game, and I reckon that if they do that,
branded cigarettes already made, ready rolled.
Yeah, ready rolled, ready to go. Do you know what I mean?
And apparently, I also read about when it got legalized in Vancouver, Coca-Cola were interested in doing a cannabis drink as well.
What, cannabis infused drink?
Apparently, but that word apparently is a dangerous word.
Allegedly.
Yeah, cannabis infused drink, Coca-Cola. Apparently.
Well, That would make sense. You know, I mean, they've already got the
Red Bull.
They got Red Bull. They've got Coca-Cola. Obviously, you know, that was a derivative of the Coca leaf. You know,
Because
and
remember the chewing gums we used to get?
Yep.
Meant to get the tasted awful from the rainforest or something.
the guarana.
That's the one.
Guarana.
There was a drink.
Yeah.
I think there was a drink of that.
Yep,
as well.
there was a guarana drink. There was guarana gum. They called it buzz gum, didn't they? Because
That's it. Yeah.
it
Also, I
was-
used to eat packets of the stuff.
it was tasted like the devil. Tasted like devil's fucking scrotum. Do you know what I mean? Just wrong. You know what I mean? Just chew on that for a minute. Just but
But I tell you what, it would be interesting to see what they would do if they did legalise it. What route it would go down.
it would be. I've got to think. You know, like Bob Dylan said. You know, changes are coming. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
You know?
I think also it'd help a lot of alcoholics because they'd have
I
something
think
else
it
they
would.
could jump to
I think it
calm
would.
them down. I
Yeah,
think we could.
and
Yeah.
if it's a medicinal route, most definitely. You know, get them on the edibles. Do you know what I mean?
Oh God, blimey, God.
Get them on the edibles. Get them on. You know what I mean? You know, just.
Oh, edibles, man, they will fuck you up, man.
Speaking right, okay. You remember when?
Fantastic. Oh,
Let me take you to something that you mentioned about how there's something that some kind of trauma that might put someone into that addiction. Have you heard about the work that they're doing with regards to things like post-traumatic stress disorder? We're treating it with ketamine and MDMA.
no.
Right. Okay.
I know that there's a lot of talk about psychedelics now.
That's right. Yeah.
People
So
are
they're
starting to do a lot of psychedelics.
yeah,
I don't know,
people.
a bit different. To what
So
you
there's an
were.
organisation called MAPS, the multidisciplinary, association of psychoactive substances or something like that. And what they're doing is they're treating depression, PTSD with medically. It's a very, very strict profile that they're using with regards to MDMA dosages, psilocybin, psilocybin and ketamine, and they're finding fantastic results that to the point where people are listening. People are listening, like important people are paying attention to, like, hang on a minute, we might have found something here. Do you know what I mean? It started out, it's in the trial phase, but it's working. It's having effects.
It's a tough sell, though, isn't it?
It's a tough sell because of the stigma, but you know, and the hippie movement and all of that shit. But hey, if it's working, if it's working, it's working, and the means. You know, the rewards outweigh the way that the treatment plan.
I'd love to know what they do. What would they do to MDMA though to make it, what's the word, usable? I don't think
it's what they do to it. I think it's the dosage, because you've got to remember MDMA. The reason why it didn't get the name ecstasy for nothing. It makes you feel fucking good.
Yeah, it can.
You love everybody.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So a little teeny tiny taste under kind of scientific, medical conditions, and people are having, a grand old time dealing with past trauma.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something about it. I mean, that's crazy when you think about it. But getting back to them, even Joe Rogan he was saying about these psychedelics, and there's a lot of people doing this stuff now.
Well, Joe Rogan, I think he won't ever take credit for it because he believes he doesn't deserve it. But I think he's responsible for this new renaissance of psychedelic adventures. He talks about Terence McKenna a lot, and Bill Hicks.
Dorian Yates was on.
Dorian Yates was on his show talking about.
He's doing them. He's done them as well.
He did dimethyltryptamine, DMT.
That's it. Yeah.
And he said it was one of the most important experiences of his life.
Yeah, some funny stories on that show, man.
Wow. Do you know what I mean? Dorian Yates, fucking, bodybuilder, Mr. Olympia, all of that shit.
Yeah.
And he still attributes DMT
That's a
as
great interview with him. Great.
Fantastic.
Interview.
beautiful interview. It was.
People don't realise what you put yourself through to get. I mean, to that whole Mr. Universe thing. What he must have put himself. I mean, just the food wise must have been awful. Oh,
we think sacrifice. We think of things like, you know, people giving their life and all the rest of it. Well, to some extent, he gave his life to bodybuilding, because when he was on season, you know what he had to do to maintain. Oh
God.
No.
There's a fantastic clip on YouTube of some bloke comes down to his gym. He's a big old bloke as well, and they do a 45-minute leg workout. And this bloke, he's like, yeah, okay, we'll do it. I know it'd be hard, but we'll do it. By the end of that 45 minutes, this dude is in the car park throwing up, man.
And that's a leg workout.
Yeah, but during it, used to, as you probably know, he used to do little short, sharp, high-intensity training sessions. But for that 45 minutes, he absolutely rips himself a new arsehole. God. And he was saying if he can't sit down on the toilet for a week after he's done, say, legs. And then if he can, he didn't, or then if he could sit down, then he thought he hadn't done enough work. Like, Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that?
That's a whole new level of pain.
That's dedication, that is, blimey.
Well, it makes you appreciate life a bit more, I'll tell you that much. You'd be like thinking, Jesus Christ. You know, all in the name of symmetry.
Yeah, but he was saying the one thing he doesn't miss is the whole food. He says it's just nice just to eat as and when. As and when. Yeah. It can't be good for you. It cannot be good for you, throwing that amount of food down your throat.
There's definitely, I mean, there's definitely some side effects. I mean, obviously, you know, you need to be on the juice for one, you know, and that's never. I can't say it's a bad thing, because one of my previous guests who I had on the show a couple of years back, Rick Collins, he's a steroid lawyer, and you know, there's definite benefit to risk ratio with everything, and steroids is no different. Do you know what I mean? You know, you can get a fucking heart attack from taking vitamin C. So you know, it's like there's always.
It's the dudes that are constantly pumping it. They're not giving themselves a rest, are they?
Well, that's the thing. I think that again, coming back to this whole addiction thing, when you start seeing what steroids can do in conjunction with your workout, you get addicted to the look. I think you get addicted to the aesthetic as opposed to actually getting addicted to the needle.
I've seen it firsthand. One of my old bosses, he had a 55-inch chest. And he said to me, he goes, you go into a restaurant when you're that big and you get a table straight away. But within 6 weeks of not doing what he was doing, the difference was unbelievable.
Yeah, he's got saggy tits.
That's not good, man. That's not good.
He's got saggy tits. Do you know what I mean? And that's I mean, if you look at someone like Victor, what was his name? South American fellow. He won the Mr. Olympia, and he was shredded, fucking absolutely shredded. Yeah. But then he got busted for some shit or other. Wound up doing time in jail. Came out of jail, and he looks nothing like the man he was.
It's like, is it Lee Priest though? There was the Australian bodybuilder out of season. He was a different person.
Yeah. They all are.
But I mean, credit to him, he must have worked his arse off to get back to the shape he did.
I mean, even today, I mean, Jay Cutler is still a big fella, but he's by no means the Jay Cutler who won Mr. Olympia. No. You know, you know, it's an interesting state of affairs when you're looking at, you know, people who are chasing that glory.
Have you seen the Arnold Schwarzenegger film? Is it the
Pumping Iron? That's God-given genetics. So, you know, I had a vision. I wanted to Mr. Olympia.
He psyched out Lou Ferrigno. Is it Lou Ferrigno at the breakfast table, didn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, mate.
You know,
but he's a bit of an evil bastard.
There's some really, really good bodybuilding documentaries out there now. Generation Iron. I think they're on their third one now. They're now looking at bodybuilding in like Arab states. And how like the Arabs are now really kind of moving in on the weight lifting scene, because these motherfuckers are yoked, like fucking yoked. They got traps up to their ears, man. Do you know what I'm saying? You know,
no neck Norris.
no neck Norris, for real. No neck. Do you know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's all going down, man. It's all going down.
Yeah,
So
crazy.
well,
stuff.
bro, listen. Let's wrap this sucker up because I don't want to kind of blow our wad on the first show. Do you know what I mean? I think we can come back and do a hell of a lot more. Do you know what I mean? And I think we should do a face to face on the next one. But time and all the rest of it. You know where I am. I'm more than my door's always open to you, bro. So
nice one.
It's been great. How do you feel? How do you feel like doing?
Yeah, all right. All right. Yeah, it's all right. Pretty good, man.
It's awesome. It's awesome, and the time's just flown by. We've done an hour. Just. It's insane, right? Man. I can actually tell you, we've done an hour and 10 minutes.
Nice.
It's beautiful, man. Beautiful.
You're a star, Max.
No, you're the star. You're the star. You're the one putting in the work. So what I'll do is I'll take this. I'll do the choppy thing, and I'll get it out either over the weekend or at the beginning of next week.
Yeah, get people to get over to just a quick one for me. Get over to
plug your shit, man. Plug your shit.
Yeah, www.thehumanglitch.com.
Mm-hmm.
Just leave any messages you want there, or you can go Instagram, just one word, the Human Glitch, and you can DM me there. I'm on Twitter, but I was telling you the other day I'm still struggling with that bad boy.
Yeah, that's cool.
But yeah, just get online, we'll have a chat, and we'll go from there.
Wicked, man. Well, tell your people, on Instagram, come and follow me because I could do with some new followers.
I just put one up tonight. I put one up tonight quickly.
You're the man.
Yeah,
you're the man.
I don't know. I was meant to get a good picture of you though. I've only got the one with the rising head of justice.
We'll find something. Don't worry. But yeah. That'll do it. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, man. Yeah. I need to get you get the other picture of you. You're the red one, man.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I'll send that over to you right now.
I'll sum it up tomorrow or something, man.
No worries, dude. No worries. You got it, man.
Cool, man. All right, Maxwell.
All right. Well, listen, my brother. Yeah, you too. Enjoy your Friday. Thanks for spending some time with me doing this show. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you. Yeah. My brother for 13, 14 years now?
Yeah, man. It's been a while, dude. It's been a long time, man.
Christ.
Probably a bit longer.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So,
and you know what, on the side note, I can still remember being in Denmark Street and seeing Matt's ad for looking for guitars for drum and bass player, man.
Oh,
and I still remember, and I remember meeting him in the pub that opposite Tottenham Court Road Station, yeah.
The old marquee? The old marquee?
No. I met Matt for a drink. For anyone that don't know, Matt was the bass player with Maxwell, and in that band with him.
Yes.
And I met him for a quick drink at, I think it was the George Campanelle, opposite next to McDonald's, opposite Tottenham Court Road. And I can remember that like it was yesterday, dude.
Man, we were a fucking hardcore flipping little trio, man. We were all right.
He decided to put us on the stage at Finsbury Park because we were too loud. L King, his name was.
Oh yeah.
And he said, you're too fucking loud. Fuck off. We was all right, We were
good. We were good. We were fucking good.
You know what? Whenever I hear Supergrass, I think of us as well, even though we was nothing like Supergrass. I've no idea. I don't know why.
We were thrashy and independent.
Yeah. It's a shame we didn't carry on for longer, man.
Hey, listen, never say never, bro. One last dream, OLD.
Yeah, man, crazy. Cool, Maxwell. Listen, you be cool, yeah?
You too, sir. You too. Enjoy your Friday, enjoy your weekend, and I'm sure we'll catch up soon.
Yeah?
All right, my brother.
Take care, dude.
Take care, bro. Thanks a lot. Love you, man.
Love you too, baby.
Yeah.